Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the books that I read in July. Yes, I am filming this on the same day as I filmed my TBR. Yes, I'm wearing the same outfit. No, I haven't changed my hair. I haven't even stood up once. But that is beyond the point. We are going to do this now because otherwise I'm never going to do it. This is going to be a bit of a long video, I think, depending on how much I talk about each book, because I read quite a few books in July. It was a really successful reading month for me. I read a total of 14 books, which some people can read a lot more than that a month, but for me, I think that's a lot of books, especially considering I work full-time and I study, and yet I still read 14 books. Interesting. So let's get straight into the video. A few of these books I've talked about a bit on my channel before, so I don't want to get too into them, but I'll try and give little synopsises where I can, and if they're not sequels and things like that. But if you know me, I'm not very good at giving synopsises, so we'll try my best. I will try my best. The first book that I read this month was a rollover book from June. I started it in June, but I finished it in July, and that is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I rated this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. This is one of the ones that I've talked about a bit on my channel before already, so if you want to go back and watch a few of those videos, I do talk about this a lot more. But yes, I rated it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I have bought, where is it? There it is. I have bought the rest of the series. I am yet to jump into it, but I'm very excited to. And yeah, so that is Daughter of Smoke and Bone, 4 stars. This next book, shock horror, Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. I really like this book, obviously. It's Colleen Hoover. I rated it 4 stars. I spoke about this briefly in another video, but I had some issues with this book that I can't really explain too much about because they are spoilery. So yes, in this book we follow, what's her name again? Follow Sydney as she finds out that her roommate and boyfriend have been sleeping together behind her back, and she finds out from her mysterious neighbor who always seems to be playing guitar on his balcony. Right, singer, nice guy. You can already get the vibe we're going for here. So this book is a contemporary romance book between a songwriter slash singer and a musician, I guess, in a band called Sounds of Cedar. This book was really addictive, and I read the entire thing really quickly. I had some moral issues with some of the things going on in this book that weren't right, but were made to seem right, but then towards the end they kind of admitted that it wasn't right. I don't know how to describe this. I mentioned this in an earlier video that I wouldn't exactly recommend this to anyone to read it, but I personally still enjoyed reading it, if that makes sense. Not looking at it at a too technical point of view. If I looked at it purely from enjoyment of reading the book, I enjoyed the book. So that's why I still rated it a 4 star. But I wouldn't actively recommend that you read the book. So yeah, that's Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. 4 stars. On the theme of Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover, I also read Maybe Not, which is the 1.5 novella book for this series, I guess. Colleen Hoover in this Maybe Someday series has the first book, which is technically a standalone. This is a 1.5 book which follows another couple in that book and their story, kind of like a little bit of a backstory, which I rated this 5 stars, by the way, because this was great. This was amazing. This was hilarious. This was so good. It really gave a lot of context to the things that were going on in the background of the first book, which was really good. Very short, very enjoyable. There is a second book to this series, but I'm pretty sure Colleen Hoover said that she wrote it on Wattpad as a continuation of the story for people who wanted a continuation of the story, but you don't necessarily need to read it. I'm obviously still going to read it at some point, but yeah, I thought I'd just put that out there. So this is the 1.5 book for Maybe Someday, Maybe Not, and I rated it 5 stars, 10 out of 10, amazing. Normal People by Sally Rooney. 2 stars. 2.5 stars, technically. I'm not going to talk about this book. I've talked about it enough, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. I didn't like it. That's the end of that. I don't want to talk about it. On to a happier subject. I also read A Court of Wings and Ruin this month. This is a buddy read with my friend who I'm rereading the entire series with, and she's reading it for the first time. I'm going back and I'm annotating to filth. This is so satisfying to see when I pull all of them out of the shelf and they are all tabbed like as much as this one is. Amazing. And it's such a fun experience to go back and, you know, find all these foreshadowing moments, even for later books in the series or later on in the book, or things that hold a deeper meaning that you didn't see before, but now knowing how the characters progress through the story, you find it like more important. And yeah, I just thought it was amazing. Even towards the end, if you've read this book, you know that towards the end it is quite intense. A lot happens. It's an emotional roller coaster. I still felt every single emotion I felt the first time, if not stronger, the second time I read it. I don't think I mentioned this, but if you don't know, if you live under a rock, this is the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and it's amazing. One of the best books in the series. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Even though there are a few plot convenient moments towards the end, if you know what I mean. But yes, really enjoyed that reread. Really needed it. Really gave some spice and some life to my month of reading. A book that I don't have with me right now, but I read in the month of July, is Heir of Fire by Sarah J Maas as well. That is the third book in the Throne of Glass series. I read it at 5 stars. Amazing. Really, really good. This series continues to amaze me. It's on a very different scale to the A Court of Thorns and Roses series for me though. A Court of Thorns and Roses, I look more at it as a romance story, whereas Throne of Glass, I'm more looking at the plot of what's going on, the world, the depth of the characters and things like that. So I hold them on very different scales, but I am thoroughly enjoying my time reading Throne of Glass. I'm currently reading Queen of Shadows and it's continuing to get better. I don't understand how, but that's amazing. So yes, I rated Heir of Fire 5 stars. Another book that I can't really get into talking about too much because it is a sequel, but yes, if you haven't read Throne of Glass, I highly recommend that you do because that series is amazing from what I've read anyway. Continuing on the theme of books that I don't have physically with me right now, Ace of Spades. I have been waiting for this book to come in the mail. I ordered it at the end of June along with my copy of The Pride of the Orange Tree and Escaping Houdini by Karen Escalco, and I still have not heard anything about when it is coming. It has not been shipped. I have not been contacted or anything, so I need to get a hold of my bookstore and find out what's going on. But I read the ebook of Ace of Spades because I could not wait. I couldn't wait for the physical, so I read the ebook and oh my god, I rated it at 5 stars. Now, if you don't know what Ace of Spades is, I highly recommend you pick it up. It is, how to describe it? It's like a YA thriller. It's really good. It's set in a very prestigious private high school. It's just amazing. The POC rap in this, like, amazing. The way this story was told, amazing. The emotions this story made me feel, incredible. This book is pitched as Gossip Girl meets Get Out, and I see that completely. I think it's a very accurate pitch. It's no words. So pretty much in this book we follow these 2 main characters, a boy and a girl. I've already forgotten their names, to be quite honest with you. I'm horrible with remembering book names sometimes. But yeah, we follow 2 characters when this person, people, thing, whatever it is, called Aces, starts sending out these text messages outing their secrets, and it all kind of goes downhill from there. And they're trying to figure out who this person is, what they want, why they're doing this, and what's going on at that school. And it is a journey. I was not expecting the layers to this book that it had. Like, it wasn't like face value gossip where it was not going to affect them in the long run, and they're like, oh my god, teenage drama, haha. Like, this was like deep shit, and it really went into it. Some of the backstory stuff and the things, the way that it affected their lives really made you feel emotional. So 5 stars. I highly recommend you pick it up. Even if you're not much of a thriller person, I didn't think I was either, but this was amazing. Like, amazing. 5 stars. I've got pins and needles. If you haven't noticed already, I feel like I do this every video. I have really bad blood circulation. Now, right before I started Ace of Spades, I read Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. Finally, it took me so long to get around to reading this book, and I really regret not getting to it sooner because this was amazingly written. I absolutely love this book. Now, when I say this, I mean this in a good way. Not really a good way. I don't know how to describe this. This book made me very uncomfortable. But that's just because of the subject matter of the book. So yeah, in this book we follow Enchanted Jones, who is an aspiring singer. She loves to sing. It's her passion. Her dream is to, you know, become a pop star pretty much. And she gets noticed by a pop star, Corey Fields, who gives her all these promises and takes her on this journey, promises to take her on this journey of, you know, of creating her album and coming out into this pop star that she dreams to be. Basically, this book does a really good job at showing how horrible and dark the music industry can be, and how many things that someone with a reputation and fame can get away with because they have a social backing, and it's really disgusting. This has a lot of racial commentary and it has a lot of trigger warnings as well. I do recommend checking the content warnings for this one because it could get quite, you know, intense at some parts of this book, and it was really hard to read. Someone's outside my room listening to me talk. I'm trying to film a fucking video. Do you mind? You're being disrespectful to me and my viewers. Thank you. Anyways, I rated this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, even if it made me uncomfortable. The next book is a book I was not expecting to pick up this month, and that's The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I feel like there's a lot of controversial views on this book, and it's a cult favorite, but then a lot of people I hear about hate this book. I liked it. I liked this book. You know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you. I liked The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, was it anything spectacularly amazing? No. The first part of the book kind of had me like, oh, okay, this book's fine. Towards the end, I liked it a lot more. Once we got past the building character stage and we kind of got into the exploring the plot stage of the book, I really enjoyed it. I ended up rating this 4 stars. So in this book, we follow Jude, who is taken away from her family at a very, very young age, is taken away to fairyland, essentially, and is raised by a really influential member of the Fae Court, I guess, and gets tied up into all this politics, and I don't know how to describe what else happens in this book, but it's just a lot. I really enjoyed this book. Is it a Court of Thorns and Roses? No. Was it still enjoyable? Yes. I am going to continue on with the series because I'm very excited to see where it goes. I really liked how the book ended, and the twist towards the end I wasn't expecting, which I feel like I should have been expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it. So yes, I'm very excited to get the next 2 books. I also think that the cover for the second book is stunning, so I'm really excited to see that. I finally finished The Dragon Republic this month, the audiobook for The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the second book in the Poppy War series, if you aren't aware, and the Poppy War series is amazing, and I highly recommend it, but these books are extremely heavy content. I cannot stress this enough to check the content warnings going into this. The way that this story starts off, I thought was heavy, right? I thought it was still pretty heavy in the beginning. And then about halfway through the first book, it flips completely. The story takes an even more sinister, darker turn, and then it continues to do this throughout the next book as well. So I do recommend that you check out those content warnings and know what you're getting into before you read these books. I didn't at all, but I rated The Puppy Wall 5 stars, and I rated The Dragon Republic 5 stars. It did take me a long time to listen to because it's a 25-hour long audiobook, and I only really listened to it while I was in the car or driving or doing stuff like that. But yes, I stayed up really late to finish the last 2 hours of the book, and wow, amazing. That's all I can say about that. I don't even know where to begin on trying to give a synopsis for the Puppy War, because so much has happened between where the book started and where our main character started to where she is now at the end of Dragon Republic that I don't even have words to describe the journey that she's been on. So yeah, The Dragon Republic 5 stars. Amazing. Another novella that I read this month is This Winter by Alice Oseman. I spoke about this in my messy reading vlog where I talked about both my 24-hour readathons that I had. So I talked about it a bit more there. I rated this 4 stars. I rated this 4 stars purely for the fact that it is super short and there isn't that much of a plot line for that reason, but I rated it a 4 star for the fact that that's what it was supposed to be. This is a novella to the Solitaire novel by Alice Oseman, which follows characters from the Heartstopper graphic novels. The Oseman universe is one of my favorite things in the world. I am an Alice Oseman junkie, if you can't tell by my collection. Yes, I am an Alice Oseman junkie, so I was so excited to get my hands on this. This is actually the last book that I needed to complete my Alice Oseman collection. I haven't read all the books that I have, but I do now own all of them, which is super exciting. But yeah, this is literally like 90 pages of writing, and it went by so quick. I rated it 4 stars. My favorite part of this book was the last chapter, which is from Oliver's perspective, which is Charlie and Tori's younger brother. And that was that. This book follows Tori, Charlie, Oliver, and their whole family on Christmas Day for Christmas dinner, which, if you know anything about the story of Nick and Charlie or anything about the Osemanverse, you know that the topic of eating is a very difficult topic for Charlie. This does have some content warnings, I believe, in the beginning of the book. Yes, there is a content warning. It says, this book contains discussion of mental illness, including descriptions of disordered eating, references to self-harm, and ignorant views regarding mental illness. Please read safely and responsibly. So do keep that in mind going into this one, but otherwise, enjoyable, short, easy read. The second last book that I read this month was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. This book was amazing. Hold on a second. Let me sit here and tell you. I really enjoyed this book. The plot of this book was a fucking mess. Pardon my French, but this book was a mess. Plot-wise, it was a lot. So much was happening, but I enjoyed every second of it. I love drama. I feel like if you want to sit here and think about, you know, I want a really like simple, straightforward romance where it's like guy falls in love with girl, you know, they end up getting together, then they have an argument, and then they get back together. That's not what this is. That is not what this is. This is messy and complicated. We follow 2 different people. It's a lot. In this book, we follow, what's her name? We follow Morgan and her 16-year-old daughter, Clara, and there's literally no way to give a synopsis without reading this long synopsis on the back that is not spoilery. So I can't really give you much of a synopsis here. Oh my god. This is the first time I've read the synopsis for the book, because I generally don't read synopsises. I kind of go in blind. I think I've said that a few times in this video already, but like, you get the point. And this synopsis is spoilery. I'm glad I didn't read it, because it shocked me. It really did. This book does have a lot of conversation on grief and loss and infidelity and things like that, so keep that in mind. Always check content warnings before you go into the book. I feel like I preach that every book, every video, but please do that, because this book could be quite triggering to certain audiences. I can definitely see that, especially if you've had similar personal experiences. But overall, I really, really like this book. I think I'm just a mess, and this just made me feel at peace. I don't know how to describe it. No words. Colleen Hoover, you've done it again. You've done it again. And the last book that I read this month is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Yes, I read 4 Colleen Hoover books this month. Leave me alone. I have an addiction. Verity by Colleen Hoover. I have no words for this book. Wow. I have a video on me reading this book, a spoiler reading vlog. If you haven't checked that out already, I highly recommend you check that out, because wow, I had some opinions, some thoughts, some everything. So this book is a thriller romance, I think. That's definitely what it kind of seems like. In this book, we follow Lowen, who is a writer, very underground, has a few books, not super popular, still writes enough to kind of make a living, kind of not make a living, and everything kind of goes weak. So Lowen gets a job offer to take over a girl named Verity in reading her very, very popular, very successful book series. And to do this, Lowen will have to go and stay at Verity's house with Verity's husband and Verity's son to do some research in her office to kind of connect to these characters and find out how she's going to continue this story. Plot twist, because Verity is unable to finish her series as she was in a car accident and she is now unable to communicate or move. While Lowen is going through all these notes and all these books and all these different things in Verity's office, she discovers a manuscript and she begins to read it, and she doesn't know what to do about the information that she finds. That's all I'm going to really tell you. If you haven't read the book already, I do recommend you read it. It is very different. It is very different to all the co-hosts that I've read before, while still keeping her writing style at the same time, which is quite interesting to see. This book needs content warnings. This book needs content warnings. Things I was not prepared for. A lot of talk on child loss, a lot of talk on just a lot of things. I definitely recommend you look up content warnings before you go into this, because this could be quite a sensitive topic and quite triggering to some people. Do your research before you read the book. But yes, that's all I'm going to say on Verity, because I have a full reading vlog on this subject. Anyways, that is the end of the video. As you can see, I had a very, very successful reading month. Apart from normal people, all of them were like 4 or 5 stars, which is amazing. And I read a total of 14 books and 4 Colleen Hoover books. How could I have a better reading month? I couldn't. That's how. Anyways, let me know down below how many books you read this month and what your favorite read was. I think my favorite read of this month would have to be probably Ace of Spades, because that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you enough how much I really enjoyed that book. Amazing. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.